Going to start our meeting.
We are. Welcome to our March Transit Riders Council meeting. We are going to change things around just today. Our speakers are going to go first. And it's a topic that you've all heard a lot about, the end of coin acceptance on buses, and what the MTA is doing to make that message clear to riders. And today we're fortunate to have Caterina Paturi and Alberto Rodon, who are going to speak to this very issue. Hello, Marisol. So,
hi, how are you?
Good. So you're on. Thank you so much.
Great. We'll take it away. So thank you all for having us. We're really excited to be here today to give you a quick presentation on what our team, which is Government Community Relations for New York City Transit, has been working on as it relates to outreach for the end of acceptance of coin on bus. Just want to caveat and say this is not the full sort of effort of MTA-wide around this program, but our team has been really on the front lines for quite some time on this, and we've really ramped up our efforts. So we're excited to speak to those today and let you know how they're going, and of course continue to update you as we get closer to that date, which is yet to be announced.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
We're the New York City Transit Riders Council. We're not the full PCAC, so
okay,
you
great.
might want to change that at some point.
Okay, great. We'll make that adjustment.
Sure.
All right. So these efforts have really been building upon our recent transition to tap and ride and the end of MetroCard sales, which, as everyone knows, as of December 31st, MetroCard sales and refills ended, marking the sort of full transition to Omni and tap and ride. So as part of that outreach this fall, we were out there making sure that customers were ready to navigate that transition, letting them know about these changes that were coming up, and including in those fall outreach events that at some point later in the year, MetroCards will stop to be accepted for fare payment, but that's not happening yet. Customers can still use their MetroCards until we announce that end date. And eventually, we will also announce the end date for ending of acceptance on coin on bus. So in order to make sure that everyone is sort of aware of these things coming down the line, in fall 2025, our team led various briefings for elected officials and community boards, making sure that our electeds and community boards know about all this information and have resources that they can share with their constituents. We did targeted mailings to their offices of all of our collateral. We made sure that we had digital and print PDFs for them to use. We did 10 outreach events at high MetroCard use stations. So these were stations where we saw a lot of MetroCard usage. So we wanted to make sure that folks there had the information. We talked about distribution and mailings of our resources. And then we also continued direct outreach to senior centers, NORCs, older adult centers. So you can see some photos down on the right. That's an event that we did at the Robert Couch Senior Center in Queens. Demetrius was able to join us for that one, which was really fantastic. And we also had the MTA mobile van at that event. So once we kind of gave the presentation, did the Q&A, we were also able to provide direct assistance for anyone who had actual, issues that they needed support with that day. So we're really excited to be able to build upon that outreach that we did in the fall ahead of this December 31st milestone. And that's really what we wanted to do with our targeted outreach for coin on bus, which we'll get to next. So how did we put together our outreach plan for this specific piece of, a programming update for our customers? We really wanted to focus on locations where we saw high coin use at not only specific bus stop locations, but also on the bus route overall. We saw some neighborhoods of note throughout the 5 boroughs that you can see listed here. So we really wanted to focus our outreach in these neighborhoods as much as possible. That's not to say that we're not going all throughout the 5 boroughs. We still also take requests. We get a lot of requests from senior centers. So So we always meet those, but we really wanted to make sure we also had data-driven approach as part of this outreach. So the way that works is we target to senior centers, again, older adult daycares, NORCs, but also really community partners in those areas like churches, schools, council precincts, libraries, CBOs, any other sort of community hubs that those customers might go to for additional resources or questions or support. We want to make sure everything in that area is prepared and sort of has resources available. So we make sure that when we go out, we have extra materials so we can drop off and distribute to nearby organizations. And now I'll pass it on to Alberto, who can talk a little bit more about what those resources are.
Sure, thanks, Katarina. So you see here, we also brought some samples of the materials we give out at these events and to the general public. One is about the No Corn on Bus. We have that in the title 6 languages as well. On the back side, we have the location of 30 customer service centers where folks can get more information on Omni, other questions as well. Also, we're pushing for folks to nominate their retailers. Where do you want to see that the Omni retail network expand to? We want it to be an option that customers really can use and appreciate and give them flexibility as we navigate away from calling something on bus. So we're looking to see that happen as soon as possible. As you see here, our events, we have interpretation of our request. We've done Spanish, Korean, Chinese, ASL. So those are things that we ask the centers, what language do you need? Like the fishes as well. What do you want to see us bring to your community? And it's been well received.
And yeah, just to emphasize the retail network, that's like really one of our main kind of big new benefits for folks that might not, maybe they don't use the subway system, maybe they're bus users primarily. So we want to make sure that we're getting community-driven expansion of that network. So we have an online nominate a retailer form, but we created a print version of it so that if anyone's not online, they can still nominate a store in their neighborhood to be included into the retail network.
So here we have some of the communities we serve. Over 60 events this year alone, over 110 as a department. We're out there pretty frequently, several times a week. I'm getting the word out about Omni, No Corn on Bus. A big piece of this is our paratransit customers. We want to focus on that segment as well, the zero fare program. Pretty popular, as you guys know, the 4 free trips a day, subway bus for those customers. They're excited about that program. Want to raise awareness around that as well. But again, we talk church, senior centers. Bids are a big partner as we look to expand the retail network. They're looking forward to how can this retail network benefit their members. So it's not just your 7-Eleven, your CVS, the mom and pop shops, your bodegas, your non-traditional stores. So the community centers might be interested. Churches might be, if they have retail network in church, might be a point where they can reload their cards. So different strategies we're trying to use. In terms of agency partners, we met with earlier today. Moya is a big one. We did a recent program early in the month. So we're trying different strategies in terms of our government partners, but it's working. A big one coming up next month is AFSCME. We met with them last year, but the retirement group, they want to talk to their retirees, how this works for them. Happy to be there.
And again, yeah, we're happy to take any questions, but really the more that we go out there, the more we get recommendations, suggestions, requests. So a lot of this is sort of an iterative process, but we also are guiding it as much as possible where we see the need. So we'll take any questions and happy to, discuss more.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. One question I think might be on quite a few people's minds, and certainly the Chief Financial Officer of the MTA's mind. When these retail stores and other organizations like the ones you had listed on there become an Omni dealer where people can buy or reload their Omni cards, who checks to make sure that that money is transmitted back to the MTA?
So from my understanding, good question. From my understanding is in the agreement with the vendor agreement, it's already automatically done. So when the transaction occurs, the vendor takes their cut, and then the rest goes to MTA. So it's already in the contract.
That's done electronically.
Correct.
The cards don't have any value on them. directly.
Right, right.
And the benefit for vendors, unlike MetroCard, they don't have to lay out the money up front for the card.
Right.
Which is a huge benefit. Yeah. And I think that was a big impediment for these businesses to want us to have a MetroCard. I don't have 20,000 at a pop. I had what I have. So this is a big deal for these customers.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Stuart?
I have a question for you, and then for them. Well, start with. There are instances where people may not know how much money they have on their card. Because they may live in an area of the city that doesn't have a subway station or near a store where they can check, or if they don't set up an account, able to check, and they're at the bus and they're tapping. What would happen if their card had no fare? You know, they can't ride. I mean, are you getting pushback on things like this?
Yeah, so good question. As you might have known, the Rich Committee meeting, we announced that later this year, customers will be able to see their value at the validator in the bus and subway, including the physical transfer language on the validator, which is a big ask from customers. They can, if not, they can call the number at the back of the card to show the balance there as well.
But if you're
Plus, you can have an account, which you can sign up for.
You can, but not everybody has planned trips. I go to work, I might want to use the bus, I know how much I have, or how much is. There may be people who don't know and don't have ready access to a reader. It's not like you're near a subway station.
That's what I'm talking about, Stuart.
Yeah.
Once you establish an Omni account, you can go online and see, you can tell it when you want it to be replaced or updated, with new fare if it runs below a certain amount, and you can see your balance.
You can, but people may not want to.
You can also call the number at the back of the card.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at that moment in time, when you're at the bus, you'll be asked to step off the bus.
I follow your logic, yeah.
So the other thing is the state is moving in a very different direction. So they're doing it with food stores. So, they can't have business establishments that just have, accept electronic payments for goods and food. Because, that's my last question to you and then one to Andrew. So, when you look at those neighborhoods with the highest coin activity, do we know anything about the users? Because, there may be other outreach that you need to do depending on the demographic of.
Yeah, so to that point, we are working with marketing to make sure that the advertisements or awareness of Retail Network is hitting these targeted locations, whether it's subway station or the bus maps. We're trying to make sure that happens. Also, these heavy coin neighborhoods tend to be unbanked, but they rely on check cashiers, which is one of our Retail Network partners. So that's already awareness, and customers kind of already use that for other activities. So they might pay a bill, they might cash a check, but at the same time, they reload their card there. So there's already some conversations happening at those communities.
Have resources.
Correct.
Yeah.
And to your point about the legislation also says if it's cashless, if you can put it on a card, which is what Omni does, it's allowed.
But not everybody has a card. But so it's not an issue that I've really tracked. I really deal with heavy rail and other things.
Sure.
However, isn't this something that would require a vote of the board? Because you're making a.
Removing coins from buses?
That's correct, because
That was established in 25.
the board actually voted to do this.
It was part of the fare changes
Fair policy. It's written that there would be no coins
on buses
September
after a certain point.
It was a board vote then. Yeah. Okay, I missed that one. Thank you.
Sure. Karen?
I'm curious, so what has been the response when you've gone to these? Has there been pushback?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the number one request that we get when we go out is, okay, but can you show us the balance on the validators? So that's something we hear a lot.
Yeah, everyone hears that.
And we've been hearing that throughout our outreach. So we're very excited that at this point we're able to sort of respond to that and say that that's being addressed. So that's a big one, because people want to know that the transfer went through. And if that's something that they used to have on MetroCard, can we make sure that they have it on Omni? So, another thing we get a lot of is, can we have more mobile sales vans come to our neighborhood?
Yeah.
Can we have, additional resources? So that's something that we're constantly kind of keeping track of, and seeing how we can add resources, services. But again, the retail network, that is something that people are very excited about as another additional benefit that they now have access to. So we really try to share with folks what their avenues are, and then once people have that awareness, we tend to see that sort of stress levels go down.
And second part to that, has there been any, so I know you talk about retail networks, but what about places that people may go, like the library or some other, is there any cross-pollination for places that people naturally go? They're not making an additional, they may not trust that environment or feel comfortable, but,
For information or for the reloads? For the information or for the reload?
both, any of the
Yeah.
above,
Yeah.
adding money, purchasing.
So we're definitely gonna do a mailing to these locations, so you can have it in a resource section. But for the reloads, it gets a little more complicated if it's a public institution, and we're trying to navigate how we can have that be an option for them.
Yeah, it's a great question because it's something that has come out of our outreach that we're now looking at. Can we add, a senior center to be a reload site?
Yeah.
Does it have to be, a 7-Eleven or a bodega, so we're excited to be able to add more kind of non-traditional sites to the retail network, especially if they're kind of reload only. So, they're not like issuing regular fare Omni cards. It's like targeted for reduced fare customers. So that's something that we want to add because, like you say, there's people go to where they go, right? So we really want to make sure that when we're going to any senior center, we are looking at what is around that senior center, and we're talking to the people there to, understand what their usual sort of paths of travel are, what are their usual activities, and then that way we can make sure that our outreach is not just to the centers, but the locations kind of around the center. So we really look at churches, schools, libraries, so that's a big one for us, the library system.
And then my last one is,
Yeah.
if I travel with my mom, go to Grand Central, there's a long walk to the subway if she has to reload the car, which means I have to go back, and especially if we're gonna take the bus. So is there any ability to have them like at Railroad or other locations where it makes sense, as opposed to having to go, because if you're on the bus, then you have to go look for like a transit subway station, and you just want the.
Or realtors.
And if you're just coming up like the Railroad, for example, you gotta figure out what retail store, if there's something right there.
So the Omni machines, right, like those are all reload potential, and you can reload with cash, you can reload however you want on those, and those are throughout the system, railroads, transit, so.
They have machines out there to reload for Omni.
At the at the connectors, where they connect to transit, I guess is what I mean.
But you can also, if there's a,
Grand Central that you
right.
mentioned before.
if it's an option, you can also call and reload over the phone if that's an option available.
So that's credit card, right?
Right, credit or debit,
Right.
right. So,
Yeah.
Cash, so that's,
Actually, $5.
I'm not familiar with the reloads in Penn Station or it's by the 1 train or by the A train.
Yeah.
But in the actual Grand Central, no, you have to go
Yeah.
to the
That's
subway.
what-
Karen is asking if you will have Omni machines in the commuter rail portion of the terminal
not the
as well.
connector.
Presently,
Yeah.
no, there will be no CVMs, at the location, all the CVMs, but for reload, we can look into that. There
Yeah.
may be a vendor in those kiosks that are currently there, they might be interested, we might check into that.
I think you guys are
And by the way, I had an Omni with $10 on it at some point. If you go to an Omni vending machine and you put your card in that box down below, it'll show you your balance.
Correct.
Yes, Chris, and then,
No, let him go, I'll wait.
Sure, yeah, I'll take it. On the slide with community partners, I would please add community boards, because I'm the district manager, by the way. I'm gonna be getting the phone calls. Crown Heights was one of the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's my district, and so any way that we can work to do that, that would be fantastic. I will go ahead and pitch that we are doing our community fair on June 6th, and would love to have one of those mobile units out there. We'll connect offline regarding that. In the Crown Heights area, have you all, off the top of your head, had conversations with Medgar Evers College, SUNY Downstate, and Kings County?
For like a reload machine or that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just talking to some schools that have bookstores.
Yeah.
If they would like to do this. We put the ask out community-wide. If big community wants to get involved, they can have it streamlined.
Good.
So still in the works.
Good.
But happy to follow up with some targeted, to the places that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Great.
And then in the conversation, I think that it would be good to have, maybe presentations to unions. They often are looking out for retirees, and so that could kind of.
Yeah, we've had a couple with the with the public employee retirees. We've had some presentations with them, but we're going to continue the conversation.
And also ARP, I believe.
ARP has been more targeted as well.
Yeah, because ARP, Debbie actually is on that. Yeah.
Do you want to ask your question?
Yes.
And then, Michael, you wanted a question, right? Okay.
Yes. First of all, hi, guys. One thing that I think this is something new. I know I mentioned it before to you guys, but I think we do need to work on, in the city, it's gotten a little decent, but as we now have NICE and Beeline, there is a lack of outreach out there that Newsphere is doing their part, but they're getting bombarded saying, nobody knew about this piece. The reason I'm talking about this, because the steps, a lot of people were very fascinated. So maybe we can do something in the future between Nassau County and Westchester, because they're at one location at the library. It's really nice. It's big. Trust me, it's good parking over there and good place to eat. But we just need to let's remind them that you have the option of using the card, because nobody knew about their features once they leave the 5 boroughs. Nobody knew about it. And I said, well, if you guys go on this, look at scan the QR code, you'll see Omni-Woman, which everybody knows who she is, which I don't need to say it, but it's just a lot of outreach concern. One thing we definitely need, and I know I said this to everyone here, but the reason I'm holding 2 cards this way, and let's be serious, Andrew, on this one, somebody out there are making certain rumors saying you can only have 1 card. We got to remind them that there are 2 different cards. This could be a reduced fare, which it is. This one is an accessorite card. They got to remember these are traveling cards, so it's not the English community, but it's people who don't speak English. We have to work on that. And I know, Alberto, I was with you at Flushing, saw it, which you did a fantastic. You have a relationship with the Queens Library and Brooklyn Library, but we definitely need Dante, as well as Debbie's mentioning already on the chat. We need to get the community boards to really take it seriously. There are some other community boards are not taking it seriously. And Andrew, I think you understand why I'm saying that, because in some areas, they all think it's a joke. It's not a joke. And how can we help you together as one?
Yeah. One thing we do pitch is we do ask folks, how many of your paratransit customers? The big question, why do I get 2? One with photo, without a photo? We tell them you need both, why they exist. So it's a continued conversation, education.
Yeah, we have a specific slide in our presentation about this very thing, because people get confused. Why does one card have a picture? Why does one not? It's one of the number 1 questions we get and clarify for seniors.
And disabled.
Yes, and especially, anyone eligible, really. So, and then just for your question about community boards, so the community boards are definitely a big partner for us. They get all of the mailings that we do. We're going to continue to drop off resources every time we go physically. But yeah, we're making sure that they're poised to help us get the word out.
As you know, community boards are not all built the same, and some are more responsive than others, but we're still going to reach out to all of them.
And I did say some. But there is one thing, it is important on accessorite. When people are getting, because this is something that everyone should be aware, there is a confusion that not everyone's reading the updated letter, as Rachel did put in. When they get the card in the mail, of course the card's not going to work, because they need to know, is that the person? So we do need to be very clear on this. If this card came in the mail, just say today, of course I have to call, I have to wait 24 hours so they can activate it. Then I can put it onto the link right there, and then it will tell me the card is, it's not going to say, it's not going to have money on it, because, of course, you got to refill it. So we just need to remind people to please Please, read the letter.
Okay.
Michael, your question?
Yeah, I was, kind of a not so hypothetical question. So like 3 years from now, coin list has been a thing. And I'm sitting in the front of the bus. Someone gets up into the bus and they have a dozen quarters in their hand. And there's no way to pay. If someone says, I'll tap you in exchange for their $3, that's a thing. That's something that's gonna be discouraged or encouraged.
So we discourage that transaction. I don't see why that's an issue.
Yeah,
That's between the passenger and,
Yeah.
and the seller.
I wouldn't do that. I have 4 free rides a day.
I'm in the middle of a
I'm
meeting.
using one of my free rides.
Oh.
I got my picture on my Metro card, on my,
yeah, I mean, yeah, we wouldn't
but.
encourage that,
Yeah.
right? The benefits are meant for who is, you
Yeah.
know,
But this guy's
eligible for them.
standing there with a handful of money and wants to get on the
It's
bus.
a regular one.
Yeah.
I shouldn't, but no one knows, but it's gonna.
It's the same as like if, you know, if somebody who's reduced fare allows somebody in their family to use their card, that's not something we can necessarily control, but, you know, the benefits are meant for the person that receives them. In that instance, you know, if the person is just trying to get on the bus and they have a way that they work it out, I don't see that the operator would stop
You can get on the
them.
bus like grunting.
Oh, please.
I like the way he said it.
But, I mean,
I'm
but
gonna try that.
Bus fare evasion is unreal.
yeah.
Marisol had 2 points.
Yeah, Marisol, Omni is with a Y, not an I, just so you remember that. Did you have a question, Marisol?
Typing on the computer, sorry. I said I was suggesting that adding it to the hospitals, adding the hospitals as a recommendation. I was giving the example of Lincoln is right next to Hostels, which is also a college. So, and in the Bronx, luckily, a lot of our colleges are near train stations, but I know a lot of people use buses. And then I was wondering if you're considering, if you haven't done it already, adding some of these devices at ferry stops.
We can look into that. Ferries are a DOT, kind of, service, but we can look and see what's possible.
They're working on that, but I think we just need to really watch it, because Edmund mentioned it to me the other day.
Yeah, we can look into that, and also thank you for the suggestion in Bronx. We'll talk to our Bronx counterpart to make sure that's on our list.
Deborah, you have a question, Deborah?
Yes, so when you say you're doing outreach, and you're also, I heard you say precinct councils, have you sent any of the information to them?
Yes, the precinct
yeah.
councils, so the NYPD precinct councils will receive our information, and then also in the instances where we go to their meeting, we bring hard copies as well.
Well, I really suggest you get a lot of hard copy, and also the reason I'm also pushing very hard for you to go through the borough presidents and the mayor's, community unit, because that's where community boards come out of. You need to bring in the hard copies to all of them, because they're going to be, especially in the areas where it's very high with senior population. My poor Christopher and I will be yelled and screamed at. So I'm probably going to be hiding in my apartment for a while, because I'm not in a mood to be blamed for a policy I didn't implement. I understand why you're doing it, but please get it out there, because I'm going to tell you, I'm on my local community board transportation committee. We haven't seen anything sent to us, and I'm 15. So I'd appreciate if you can get this out. If you want, give a bunch to Chris, and we will also put it through the 5 borough developmental disabilities and advisory councils, and we'll get it to the other agencies, because they're going to be very shocked when they see they can't put coins in. And also travel trainers are going to have to be retaught what to do with the kids, because these children are taught how to either use, now they're learning how to tap with the Omnicard, but they don't understand that they're thinking, well, if I'm still on the bus, I can drop those quarters in, and they count for the $3. And then now that they won't be able to, they'll panic, and we have to prevent that. So please, and if Chris can give you all the emails, but you need to also contact District 75, go to John Padula, because he will be able to help you get through there. This is a very serious issue, and I don't want these children being harmed because they didn't understand the changes. Thank you.
Thank you. So is it a plan to have signage on the buses when you decided on a permanent date for no more coins?
Yeah, so
Well in advance, so people
yeah.
will see it and it'll be on their minds
Yeah, that's,
every time they ride?
yes, that is, what I was mentioning at the start. This is sort of our team's, plan, but there will be a, MTA-wide marketing effort, customer ambassador effort, once the date is announced.
Does Cubic have to make some updates before that can be done?
No, that's, our own.
That's your own thing? Because I know that there's certain things that the MTA is looking for Cubic to update that aren't working absolutely perfectly, and we obviously want that to happen
Correct.
when
Yep.
everybody is
Yeah,
off of.
this is when we don't need cubic, help, thankfully.
Okay.
Andrew,
Yeah.
can I answer the one
Yeah,
question?
last one, sure.
Yeah, because just to let, they already know this already, but just to let Debbie as well, she knows this. All 5 borough DD councils and advisory councils, including Westchester, are aware of this, and thanks to your counterparts, they are doing it. It's just that, and I did say this earlier, that, you guys, if you're not there, but, but reduced fare is always out there as well as MTA, accessibility is out there, and it's a challenge. So I just think if you guys have any ideas, guys, can we please, let's help them out, because they're outnumbered. I could see you guys look exhausted just looking, and it's not easy, because you're all over around the world. What should I say, all around the city in one day.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you look great.
Thank you for saying it.
I was wondering if there's any reality where the MTA could put, Omni vending machines, maybe not like the full ones that you would find at subway stations, but some, slimmed down form to put at high volume bus stops that aren't right next to subway stops. Like especially if they're not placed on the sidewalk, like if they're on some kind of borderline.
I can look into that. I know that we're getting rid of SPS machines, soon, thankfully, because they haven't been that great of a machine.
That's for sure.
And we're gonna have an expansion of that network, of the retail network, so folks can, really, plan they can go anywhere in the city and refill their card. For example, working with Bodega Association to get their members signed up for Omni, and there's bodega all over the city. That's something that would resolve this concern. But we're looking to that.
One thing I noticed on the card, you prefer the email address if folks want to nominate a retailer?
Easier.
Okay.
We send that to the,
We like to track what we're getting, so that's sort of how we're doing it, but I think if you do it online,
Yeah, just
it goes directly.
shared like an online, like a
Yeah.
link.
Yeah, they all feed into the same place. It's just a way that we can track what we've heard from direct outreach.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point for everyone. If you know of a retail establishment that isn't selling Omni, that you think would be a good candidate for it, we'll send around the email address to nominate them, after the meeting.
Do you have any indication that a retailer who does sell Omnis has a little more business because people are coming in for various reasons as opposed to just one reason?
Yeah, that's a good question. We can look into that metric. What do we
That
have
might be
to
a
say?
selling point for getting retail establishments selling Omni. Marisol, you have another one?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, as you're adding people to this list, are you gonna make that list available? I wanna make sure that people are not going to places that may be scamming them.
Yeah, so we have an online, retailer. You can look up the location by zip code, institution, address, and it'll populate the list of those in our network.
Okay, so then if you can just let the people that will be doing this, let them know that exists, because I wouldn't want somebody to go to a store and say, oh, we're selling it here, and they don't get what they asked for. So if we can
Yeah,
let
is there a
that be part of the marketing so that people are aware.
Yeah, we're looking at adding signage, and then we're also, when we go out, we do a demo of the actual, list and how you can look. So we pull it up and we sort of show people how to use it. And
That's
then,
authorized Omni dealers,
yes,
retailers. That's good.
Right.
And every time you got
Because
a new
they're-
one, it'll go on the list.
correct.
Right, as long as it self-populates, because I can see people trying to take advantage. I see a lot of seniors that are always carrying coins because that's how they get on the bus. And we'll see how that goes. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Link in the chat, FYI, Marisol.
Oh, yeah, there.
Oh, thanks.
Does the list have the hours of operation of the establishment?
Hours operations and whether they do both reload or, purchase.
Right, because the thought is, many bus routes are 24/7, some are not. So, again, and there's certain lines heavily traveled in the evening, overnight, near hospitals and other venues. Just making sure that there are options for rider for those later hours.
Absolutely.
So you may want to look at the data community-wise based on the hours to see if
Good idea.
if there's a gap.
Sharon?
You okay? I have a retro question, but what percentage of the fares that are actually paid are cash payments as opposed to MetroCards? What has been the
Or Omni?
history?
Yeah, I don't think we have that metric off the bat, but we can see. I think it's something that would change or has changed over time, so we could look at.
Much fewer cash payments
Yeah,
now.
it's
Yeah.
very,
Much
very
fewer.
low.
It's huge effort for how many people?
There's also, there's people that pay cash not for their full fare, but maybe for like half of their fare or for, so that's also something that we look at too. So let's say you're supplementing with change, a fare that you pay with a card.
Anybody else?
Andrew?
Another one?
Yeah, because it's Omni, because what she's mentioning is actually correct, this one thing. Because there was a test on how to keep the reduced fare people and fares, how to budget their Omni card, and there were some testers on it, that if you put in like your normally monthly in, $66, you do after a while get a weekly, and you don't realize when it comes to the end of the month, you still have money. Some people I see are put in now almost up to $300, and they don't realize they've been getting weeklies back to back. So I just think that, and I know, Michael, we mentioned it that after a couple of years, last year ago, when you just became chair the first time, we mentioned this to a lot of the Cupid people, and then I think, Catalina, you heard this, I said this last time, and Kate as well. The budget, the people realizing they're thinking too much of the past of how MetroCard runs, but we got to remind them that the Omni is saving you the money. And if you register it, you're securing your balance. If you lose the card, you can get another one.
Fare capping is great, and
Yeah.
that's another reason that everybody would like to see screens where you can see the status of your card.
For safety.
If you hit your 12 rides within 7 days and all of that kind of stuff, and your balance. So that's coming. So thank you so much for this presentation.
Of course, thank you so much for having us.
Everybody's interested in this.
Yeah, happy to come back.
Thanks for coming down the hall.
Thank you.
It's always more fun to be in person.
Thanks for coming down the hall.
Down,
Okay, moving along, we don't actually have a quorum, so we can't approve the agenda, so we will just, yes, do
But
it.
before we move along,
Yes.
I still think that, heard from team and guests, still think that it's not well thought through. I still think you're going to have situations that are going to lead to fare evasion and dissonance. Someone's going to get frustrated if they don't have a ready opportunity to refill their card and no other option. So, bus drivers sometimes use discretion and say, go ahead and down. Others may say that you can't get on the bus and create tension and disruption. Again, as I said, the state is moving in a very different direction with how retail food establishments not just accept contact payments, that there has to be a cash option. And again, I'll have to reread what the board did, but what's going to happen to the people that actually vacuum out the money? What's the savings here? What are they doing with the team that's doing this? Sharon had a good question about this, volume of funds. I think it's going to lead to greater evasion unless this is thought through because of these limitations.
Would there be greater evasion? Nobody.
Well, or
If you have more options to
No,
refill,
I know.
check your Omni card, I think you'll pay.
But
If you don't,
not
you're just
everybody,
frustrated.
not everybody
Right.
is as responsible and conscious as you. I want to get on the bus now. Oh, I don't know if my car, let me try.
Stuart, there's so many, every time I ride, I do see many, many more people tapping now, as opposed to just zooming on the bus. But there's still occasional people who don't pay. Bus fare evasion is higher than subway fare evasion, and that continues.
I want to say this, that I don't want us to get into this mindset of maybe there aren't that many people using it. There's still people that use coins, and I want us to respect the people that do. In the same manner, when we did the bus redesign and we said, oh, we're going to have less bus stops and people are going to have to work further, it was basically, well, too bad for the people who have to work. So we, I think part of our role is to think about everyone that could possibly utilize this system, and champion for them and be the voices for those that can't. So that's the way that I'm just going to, think about that.
But without having to wait for people to dispense their coins into the fare box, you're actually speeding up the boarding process too. Just tapping is much faster than somebody putting in, $2.90 in coins.
If they can pay.
There's also there's distrust in payment with credit cards and using things and loss of identity. I mean, we're in a really interesting time. And we have people who are still wedded to one. There are people also, if you have a credit card and you don't pay off your balance, and then you have interest on, fare. So, just taking all of these things aside.
Yeah, it's
let's
complicated.
just think about the ways that
Yeah, that is one reason I think, promoting the retail network, letting folks know that and you can pay cash at the machine too, right? But
Yes.
At the retail network, being able to, there's something like 2,500 stores at the moment, which is a good start across the city, but I think there could always be other options. So please nominate, if you do think of a retailer that would be, a critical addition, to nominate them to.
And some of the organizations that were on the screen, if we get half of those, or even a quarter of those, that's going to be a lot more options.
Andrew, can I answer the question that two people said?
Did they ask you what this was?
No, you can't answer.
Yeah, I like the way they're all giving me good moments here. I love it. That's all that
I have a
MTA,
question.
all that TRC love. But I know, Matt, I saw you, one thing that there is one feature that I realized that they didn't mention. There is an alert system inside that does warn you, and they have fixed it. It's in our cell phones or email, but that's just, some people can do. It does let you know when your Omni card is low. What I'm also seeing that's much more higher, and it's not in the senior or accessorized, it's the full fare people who don't realize that it's negative $5. You owe MTA $5, and they'll just throw the Omni card on the floor, thinking it's going to expire, which they don't realize. And I've seen this at stations, not just in Brooklyn. I see this in Manhattan. I actually see this in the Bronx, Marisol, and I do see this actually in your area too, Karen. It's in Jamaica. No, I'm not blaming you because you know what it is? It's just people thinking it's a Metro card. It's not like it's old-fashioned. And
Well, they do have expiration dates. Let's not forget that.
thank you, because I was just going to say that, and you took it right there. Nice teamwork there. What I'm saying is people got to realize it's an education and it's lack of outreach. We just got to get them to look at the future, stop talking about the past too much. And
The beauty of
Go
the
ahead.
Omni system, and then I'll call on you, Marisol, is that you can set up your own Omni account. You can have it add value when you get below a certain amount, just as much as you tell it to, nothing more. And that's something you would never have to worry about. You can draw it from your bank account or from a credit card. I mean, that's a real technological advantage that MetroCard never had.
And this is the word I'm going to say. Option.
Yes.
Option.
Okay, you said it twice.
No,
Marisol.
making sure.
I was just remembering when I started taking the express bus, I didn't realize that they didn't take coins, so it was an adjustment. So it's going to be the same kind of adjustment for people that are taking the regular buses. So I would imagine making that easier I am worried, like Stuart says, that they may not, there are people that are still gonna wanna carry coins and they're gonna feel that way. And the ability to pay, I mean, I don't think everybody just carries around an extra credit card with them just in case. I mean, when I take the express bus, because I don't have an Omni card, that's what I tend to do. I don't take the express bus that often, but that's something that's to consider. I mean, again, it's an adjustment. I was wondering, the vending machines for the SBS, are they converting those as well into Omni machines?
They're not converting them, but one of the speakers that we just heard mentioned that since they're going to be taken off the streets, those are potential locations for Omni machines.
Okay, so they're just gonna be replacing them with Omni machines.
Not all of them, but select locations near really busy places, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
I think that.
Yeah, like near Atlantic Terminal and, downtown Flushing, like they mentioned, really busy.
Major terminal.
No, they have a missed opportunity there, because I think that if they already have the electrical infrastructure in, it would be an opportunity to put those machines in those locations as well. Not everybody's gonna go to the primary location for these vending machines.
Yeah, that's, I think the gist of today's discussion is we want these machines to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have to go far to reload or to check your balance or any of that stuff. That goes without saying.
My local pharmacist has it. I saw someone refilling their Omni card. It's put it in, you pay it on the machine, like both transactions. You pay it and insert the Omni, so everything's done on one machine. So something for people to consider.
Local pharmacy?
Mhm.
What about your express pharmacy?
Oh, no.
It's on Raleigh, or right off of Avenue N.
Oh.
Mill Basin Drugs, yeah. It's like a mom and pop, not like a retail one. They sell them and refill them.
Andrew,
Yeah.
this idea.
Sharon,
They have systems like this all around the world.
they do.
And I wonder if we have compared how they deal with some of these issues.
Uh,
And the other thing is,
Hopefully
when
they
I
have.
am in those places, like, and I find out the first time I can't use money, find out once and then you don't do it again. And so.
That's why I
huge
asked
effort
them,
for-
will you have advance notice in the buses so that people can prepare for this?
Yeah, but.
We all heard about it, but nobody has a definitive date yet.
Because it's a Cupid issue delay.
Machines, ourselves, talking about if they're purposed. So will they accept cash or it's only a credit card transaction?
No, they accept cash.
Right, so the answer is, again, people will be vulnerable in the street and potential targets because they're handling cash in public. Again, because it's time of day. It's about time of day. And again, I don't know what the data says about when people are using coins. We know where, right? But time of day and whether there's security risks.
Handling cash in
It's around
public
the
is always a security risk.
Aren't the
For the SBS, I would get the little ticket, not
Right.
necessarily do a payment transaction.
Right.
But if people are doing cash transactions in the street. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I didn't even know it took fare. I thought it was just you put the ticket and you get,
you put your card in, you got a
Yeah.
ticket.
right.
Some people who just would put coins in too.
Right.
Oh, you can actually purchase the
There's a
ticket?
coin machine on the right.
Oh,
So, again, you're out in public.
right.
People.
Yeah.
They know that these sites are limited, they're a potential target.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Getting more and more locations
It's a great thing,
is the
right,
idea.
but again,
And it sounds like it's gonna happen.
time of day is the.
Okay,
I agree with
let's move along. I'll give my report. Another 2 bus routes have gotten ACE cameras, Q60 and the B12. There was some public testimony at yesterday's board meeting about many bus stops having private cars parked in them along West 34th and near 7th Avenue. And during the meeting, I sent Frank Farrell a text and I said, doesn't the 34th Street SBS bus, M34 SBS, have ACE cameras? And he said, of course it does. He says, I suspect that this person is referring to around the corner, not specifically on 34th Street. But, so the more ACE cameras we get, the better bus movement will be, no doubt about that. You, I'm sure, have heard about this, but this is really exciting. The largest car order in MTA history has been done. It was announced at the new Sunset Park Rail Yard in Brooklyn the other day. 1,140 cars to replace the R62s and the R62As on the 1, 3, and 6. Those are the oldest cars. I mean, there's still an occasional R46 running around, but these are really old. They're with the colored seats that you all, I'm sure, are used to. They do have frequent breakdowns. It's gotten a little better, actually, recently, but we want to replace these cars. They're over 40 years old. So this will allow the bidders to come up with various possible additions to the cars and new updates to the cars. So this is not only the largest car order in MTA history, but it's allowing the vendors to help make the cars even better in their own way. So that's going to be exciting. That 1,140 cars comes with an option for 1,250 more. Those would replace the R142s and the 142As on the 2, 4, and 5 lines. So the A division, the numbered lines, are finally going to get some new cars, and it's been a long time coming, and that's going to be really exciting. Yeah, they date back to the 1980s, so it's definitely time.
Same year I was born.
What a coincidence.
Yes.
Yes. The next phase of the 2nd Avenue subway is technically moving forward. There's obviously a pending lawsuit. The MTA filed suit, and the judge said that the feds cannot hold it up, but we're waiting to see if the feds will appeal that or do anything like that. But they are already moving next forward on it. They're going to excavate a huge open-air trench in the area of the 106th Street station. That's going to be a public area. It looked really beautiful on the representations that we saw, but it's going to mean a lot of work and a lot of noise for people that live in the area, and they'll have to be ready for that. But eventually it's going to be great. They're also connecting to the south tunnel, the one that's coming from 96th Street to get to the 106th Street station. There are existing tunnels to the north between 116th and 125th, although not all the way to our new 125th, which is a bit westward near Park Avenue. But the project is moving forward, and that's great news. And it all depends on us receiving the $60 million that the feds are withholding at this moment. But the board voted to move ahead with the project. We always get a report from the Bridges and Tunnels Committee about unpaid tolls. It's now reached $350 million a year in unpaid tolls. People are fooling around with their license plates. They're covering them. They're putting a layer of plastic on them, or they're just not paying the bill when they get the bill for the tolls. And that money, besides helping Bridges and Tunnels, also goes to the transit system. So this is really terrible. They're looking for new state legislation on what can happen to. There's a party out there or something.
They didn't invite us.
And what exactly?
Yeah, that we weren't invited. They're looking for legislation to allow liens on property or bank accounts for people that keep beating the tolls and don't pay their bills. So that's 5,700 persistent toll violators in the last year. 5,700 think this is just the thing to do, which is the same as people who beat the fare and think it's the thing to do. Stick it to the man. Subway. So I had a nice talk with Chief Kemper. When I see him, we always talk a lot, and he reminds me of a really, really important fact. And I'd love to pass this along to people when they see these horrific incidents on television about a woman the other day was pushed at the 9th Avenue D train station. The person who was pushed at 63rd and Lex just passed away.
Yes.
He had been in the hospital and all of that. And there are these horrific things that make the news. But subway crime is 1.8%. That's all of city crime in total. So with that statistic, technically you're safer in the subway than you're walking down the street. I know you feel trapped and you're underground sometimes, but that's an important statistic to remind people. And there are police on every train after 10 p.m. They're helping the homeless find shelter and or food and mental health assistance if they need it. So while we had a slip back in the total numbers of crime in February, I think March is going to show a different story, and I'm hopeful that it will, in spite of these high-profile crimes, which are really scary, no doubt about that. The new MTA app, which you probably have heard a good amount about. I've been a beta tester of it. You really need to know a lot of things to use it efficiently. It does know where you are, and it does show you every train stop, and you can, if you know how to do it, profile some favorites, which you can get to easily. You can even do a connecting trip on it. If you pick a train, you click on it, and you click on a station where you're perhaps going to change to another line or from an express to a local, it'll show you what the connections are and where your train is in the connection and how long you'll have to wait for the train that you want, which is very cool. At this moment, you cannot yet edit your favorites. That's hopefully coming. I suggested this to them. And when it opens up and it sees where you are, it selects a direction of travel. You should be able to make your preference so you don't have to keep saying, instead of showing uptown, you want to see downtown, or things of that nature. But there's a lot of cool things on the app. I'm happy to show anybody how to do some things. It has gotten much better since it started. It's very cool, and I think it's going to continue to get better. And now we got a new report on the new 3 types of new fare gates that have been installed at 25 stations. Eventually, they're going into 150 stations. They're being tested to see which ones are better. They've made adjustments on some of them, which were still sieve-like. Anybody could get through them. If you were athletic, you could easily go over it, or if the doors didn't close quickly enough, you could rush in as somebody was exiting. There are 3 manufacturers. 2 will likely be selected as finalists and will probably get the contracts to go ahead. All 3 contractors have done this in transit systems all around the world, but New Yorkers are especially sharp on how to beat these things, and because it works in Paris doesn't mean it's going to work here. So we are going to watch this, and we will keep you posted. I asked a question. I knew it was not going to be answered. Do they have an idea, without giving us the name of which of the 3 manufacturers is doing the best and has been the best in beating fare evasion? And they were not going to give it to me. But
can you tell us where they are so we can go see them?
Yeah, they're in 25 locations. I'll send it to everybody. You can also go online and see it, but I can send it.
Online?
Yeah.
I can certainly send it to you.
We can send around a link after the meeting.
Would you?
I've checked out the 23rd Street Baruch and and Broadway Lafayette to see how they are, and of course we've been to Atlantic Avenue, Barclays Center, and I've seen those. But they're all over the place. I'll get you the 25.
I'm just waiting.
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Since you mentioned the fare gates, mine is actually just Open Kings Highway, and I have to say.
Can you say which Kings Highway?
I was just going to say the Q&B, because it's the accessible station, as you know I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see Broadway Lafayette as well. The only thing I didn't like Broadway Lafayette, it's in the non-accessible area. I just want to be everyone clear. It's actually, to me, it should be more, it's a waste, because on that side, you're exiting, but there's no elevator there. The elevator is closer to the 6th. I think they should have done it over there, because it would have been a good challenge to see. But 23rd Street, you mentioned, I actually like the doors because they're a little more lower, so no one can try to go under. Because I did mention this a few months ago.
They are a little lower, yeah.
There was one person tried to slide under, but the problem is when he tried to get up, his clothes got ripped.
Clothes got ripped?
Yes, I'm dead serious. It's been. Oh, yo, I'm serious. I've seen it. And let me tell you something. It also gave them to learn not to do it again.
What's interesting is,
Yes, sir.
At the end of the Blue Ribbon panel on fare evasion, which Lisa was a member of, they had their final report in Grand Central Terminal, and lots of manufacturers had their samples there, and we all tried to beat them. We tried to go through the exit gates. Some of them prevented that. We tried to double going through the entry. Some of them prevented that. So obviously the technology is there to prevent a lot of this. Whether we get it and from which manufacturer we will end up getting it from is the unknown. but there are ways to make sure that the majority pay.
There was also some adjustments had to be made, because if you're a person in a wheel, not a motorized wheelchair, a
Regular wheelchair.
and if you're using the Access-a-Ride, it does let, if you, because you're already coming from a bus, it will do the double transfer. It will let those two people in, and then it will close. So I just want to let you know that was an adjustment, because Boy Lafayette, a person did get, almost lost his, jacket with his arm, which wasn't that serious, because, there was a test, and he didn't complain, but he just said he was one of the testers.
One of the manufacturers that we are using also has done at least one station on SEPTA in Philadelphia, 69th Street on the Market Street line. I went there to watch that. The booth agent there said that fare evasion was down by 80% since the installation of this gate, and I watched the gate for an hour, and nobody tried to beat it. That's definitely not New York.
No.
But Andrew, getting back to a different thing you mentioned about the new trains. You mentioned all the numbers, but there's one train you left with, everyone left out. 42nd Street Shuttle is an RRT train.
Yeah. I also left out the 7 in case you didn't notice.
No.
They're using their own fleet, actually, as you know, our 188s and things like that.
Yeah. The reason I didn't mention the 7, I only mentioned the shuttle because in the past, in your reports, you mentioned the shuttle.
Yeah, it wasn't listed in any of the materials.
So if we get a chance, can we find out? I didn't want to say it yesterday, but I wanted to ask you because you're to find out, because we have time right now to do that. Can you find out what they're going to do with the 42nd Street Shuttle?
We can.
Because I think that train is very crowded. If they do like the gateway cars, that's going to be cool to get on that train.
And then there's also the issue of opto. And that's a very big issue now. There was movement in the state to mandate the use of two-person train operation. The MTA knows, as do other systems, that there is technology now which means that you can still observe the entire platform without having two people. People definitely want eyes on the platforms, and the train operator is obviously very busy operating the train, and the second person, the conductor, does watch for people if people are running to get on the train. All of that. So there are definitely benefits to two-person train operation, but technology has come to the point where you can visualize the entire platform and be one person, or have it remotely observed or something by one of the people in a station. So keep posted on that. Obviously, the TWU is very opposed to one-person train operation. Yes, Sharon.
And for fare evasion, besides these gates, there really needs to be a public awareness campaign so that people don't just say, oh, well, he came in. That people are aware that everyone beating fares is costing them money.
Absolutely.
And
it means the fare goes up more frequently and higher.
And
the gate guards have brought some of that down, too, by the way. And if you saw Henry's report on the ridership increase. That was Benji's report, sorry, forgot. You'll notice that places where there has been more enforcement, fare registration has gone up, like Rockaway Parkway on the Canarsie line. There used to be that easy transfer between the bus from Rockaway Parkway into the subway. You could just waltz on whether you use the bus or not. Now you cannot. So that's why that station has shown such a big ridership increase. Now, we need to do this to keep fares reasonable for everybody and to keep security on. And because 99.9% of the people that commit violent crimes or theft in the trains did not pay their fare. Not everyone who beats the fare commits a crime, but 99% of the people that commit the crime didn't pay their fare. So we need to make it safe and financially easy for everybody. Brian, you're up.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Few things to update you all on for this month. First of all, Lisa is recovering from her hip replacement surgery. She's in good spirits. Talked to her fairly recently. She's feeling well mentally, but physically not quite there yet. So she's making progress. So she sends her regards. We are in the process of hiring a replacement for Jack's old position, our Policy and Public Affairs Associate. I sent around the link if you know of anyone who's interested in applying. We'd be happy to accept them. We've gotten a lot of applicants, which is great, and we're diligently looking through the pool to have some to start.
An amazing number of applicants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's going well. We're in the middle of budget season, both in Albany and in the city. We had our One City, One Fare proposal included in the Senate's version of the One House budget, which was great to see. Senator Comrey's the sponsor of that bill. So some small hope of getting that included in the budget process, but at least the idea is getting circulated. Not much else to report on our Albany bills at the moment. When it's budget season, those tend not to move. So we're working through a few things on them as well. On the city side, I testified at both the general welfare and transportation budget hearings last week. The camera just went off, Jess. And that went fine. I think there's even with the city struggling budget-wise, I think there is a possibility that there will be some movement on fair fares this year. Speaker Menon, General Welfare Chair Hudson, and Transportation Chair Abreu are all really in favor of the program and would like to see it expanded and automatic enrollment done so that more people take advantage of the program. We're going to continue to work with our partners to push that along as
Are they looking at 300% of the federal poverty level?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
A lot can happen in budget negotiations, as we've seen, but that has continued to be the proposal that has been voiced by the members as well as the advocates, along with fully free for 150% and below, and the other pieces that we've mentioned. So, yeah, it all seems like it's on the table. We'll keep pushing it. We'll definitely let you know if there is a fair fares specific hearing, which sounds like it might be a possibility, probably in May, and we'll absolutely do a rally and some press around that as well when we get there. Otherwise, I think that's it. On my end, we also released our ridership report that we previewed for you last month. Had some great press on it. Bloomberg, New York One, AM New York. One negative story in the Post, just talking about how ridership had only come back 76% of pre-COVID levels, but
that was a really negative story.
Any publicity for us is good publicity,
yeah,
so we'll take it. Yeah, great response for that report generally, and thank you for making us do it, Stuart. We were happy to.
Great idea.
It was a great idea, and thought the response was really excellent.
Three cheers for Stuart.
Kara?
Yes, so thanks, Brian, for covering the report that we just released. We are now working on 2 more reports, one of which we've spoken a bit about in the past, which is Henry's signage and wayfinding report. One, hopefully final plug for any suggestions, issue areas that you've seen around the transit system. That could be the subways, the buses, railroads, anywhere that you think might be confusing. Put on your tourist goggles or think of this system as someone who does not use it regularly. We're really trying to make sure that everyone is able to have signage and wayfinding guidance that helps them regardless of whether or not they know the system well.
If the signage for connections is appropriate, if the connection to another transit line is appropriate, if the accessible locations are signed in so you can easily find them, all of that kind of thing.
Even things like
the electronic signs.
Correct. Yeah, even things like the direction of the travel, things like the physical location of signs. Like we thought about how when you pull into stations on a subway, if you're looking for the arrival information of the train on the platform across from you, sometimes you have to turn your head in a crazy way to see the arrival information. Anything like that, we'll forward that survey.
But that's good for your neck.
I suppose, maybe.
Not everyone.
But we will forward that survey around one more time, and you can also feel free to email us. But we really want to include all of your suggestions if possible.
Also, I'm suggesting that where you have an important bus line above the subway station, there should be signage showing you where the exit is to each direction of that bus line.
I got so lost.
Yes, absolutely.
Somewhere?
Yeah, this is all,
Railroad station? I got off the subway and there was a bus on. Oh, yeah, it is confusing.
Yeah, that's DOT.
A mess.
yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing that we want to include. So we'll send that around one more time. And the second report that we're working on right now is, another report that Benji is working on, focused on the Interborough Express and looking at which current and future riders will benefit from the IBX. Some similar ridership data and the origin destination data set.
Or produce new riders because of its convenience.
Yes, new riders, existing riders, and people who may be attracted to transit who are not currently riding. So that will be exciting, and stay tuned for those 2 new reports.
And what an extension from Jackson Heights to LaGuardia Airport would mean for that line.
We're not looking at that specifically, but
I know.
we can mention that.
But Andrew can dream.
You can dream.
Can I answer both, 3 questions?
Want to answer your own questions?
Don't, but I think you already did yourself. One, when you're mentioning signages, and I understand what Sharon's saying, because it's part DOT's been also giving us a little headache in Queens. So Queens is a whole unique clause. Sometimes I have to ask Edmund to help. But what I'm seeing so far with signages, Long Island Railroad did their presentation the other day, and I think some of it as being on the ADA task force of Long Island Railroad, we are seeing them updating the newest signages coming up now. Some of them are disappearing, as I mentioned to Jerry, but I think we just need to give the Long Island Railroad at least a month or so just to see what the newer signs are doing on some of the stations. And I will forward it to you guys when it comes.
Are you referring to Long Island Railroad stations now?
Yes.
That's a good point. The MTA did mention at, I think, the committee meeting on Monday that they are looking at kinds of signage improvements that they can make, and so we're of course going to be looking at what they're doing and look for examples of good things they've done in the past.
And the second thing is, I'll be linking to the signages. This past Tuesday, as Michael Ring and I were actually at the World Trade Center with DOT and Port Authority. We're actually working with them to make more accessibility signages, like example, accessible bathrooms or directions, not just looking like you mentioned neck. Not everyone can move their neck up. They can hurt them. But we need to see braille and visually more signages. So that was one thing that we did on Tuesday. I will say it was good. I think it's perfect, but at least we're getting a relationship with Port Authority to work with DOT and the MTA, accessibility. But as I said, it's a start.
Maybe if you're working with Port Authority, you can get them to do something about signage on path, too.
Yeah, already behind.
Good.
You already told me that last month,
Okay.
2 months ago. But the third one I just want to add in, I just lost the train of thought.
There'll be another train.
No, bus. The fair, when we do these public hearings, and I just wanted to share with the PCA and the team, we really need to watch how we register to testify in the city hall, because I was supposed to speak and they didn't send me the Zoom. And I just wanted everyone to know it's not you guys, but City Hall had to send me an apology because they forgot people who did register on Zoom. And I'm like,
Oh, wow. Actually, that was not just a you problem. That happened to a couple,
Well, that
at
makes
least
me-
one other person.
I know, I don't want to say that person's name because I don't have permission, so I'm talking about for me, and technically Debbie as well, because I could say us two. But I just think it's amazing how once you register, they respond back to you like after 2 days, but when the city, they're still stuck in the 20th century.
They still haven't the state still hasn't posted my testimony from the budget hearing in February, so, and there was a number of others that they didn't post either.
Oh, I know, they did mine.
Making mistakes and messing stuff up is not just the city.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about registering, not putting the testimony. I get what you're saying.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm just saying is communication is the one word I should have said first. Communication, because they do get back to you. Yes, I agree with you, Brian, because last year they didn't put my testimony on that too, so I know the feeling. But there's always ways of getting them their attention quicker and faster and better communication. on that. But thank you, guys.
Do you have anything else?
That's it on the report.
Deborah's hand is up. Deborah, you have a question?
Yes, okay, sorry about that. Okay. I'm very frustrated when I come out of the elevators on the subways. I'll use Kings Highway as an example. I can never see the clocks that tell me when the next train is coming in. They are nowhere near the elevators for us to see. And there's too many other things blocking. Because the boarding sign, the boarding part where you have to go into Kings Highway, you have to go around the elevator to the back of the elevator. I still can't see the signs where to tell me when the next local or express train, this is the B&Q, and this is on every time I get off the elevators on anywhere of the subway stations. Those time clocks are nowhere near where a person with disabilities can see them when we get off the elevators. And it is not fair and correct. So I would appreciate that be added in, because it's like, thank God half the time I'm with Christopher, I say, Chris, what is the train coming or not? And he has to go look for me. And I would prefer to be independent to see it. If it's at an area where I can see it, I do look for it. I do. But it's never where I can find it. Of course, when I'm walking to the accessible area, then I'll see it. But it's never where the boarding signs are for us who are coming off an elevator. So we know what we have to do.
Yeah, that's an issue, not having any of the electronic countdown clocks near the elevators. Of course, if you have a smartphone, you can see by various apps when the next train is, but it should have some signs near elevators, absolutely.
But there may be variation.
Yeah, one problem I want to add. You see, if you're the motorized chairs, okay, they can, all right, the person can check, but if you're paying attention to get on and off the elevator into the train safely, you're not going to pick up your phone because you can accidentally get it knocked out of your hands, or somebody will grab it. And the other thing is when you're using a walker, you have to use two hands to control your walker. So there's no way I'm going to use my cell phone, because I could have it fall on the tracks, and you'll hear the loudest cries, and I'll have to wait for someone to go get it. So that's another safety issue why we can't use those devices, because we don't want to lose them. So
What would be amazing is if they had the countdown clocks in the elevators. That would be
yeah, I would love that.
That would be really cool. Yeah, sure.
If it was in the elevators, it would be a big help. It'd be a very big help, because when you're at a station where there's more than one train, I may not be able to, for example, if I'm going northbound with the R train getting on, say, at Cortland, I may want the R but not the W, or I want the W but not the R. So by not knowing which train's coming first, I'm going to have a problem.
Not on weekends, you wouldn't.
Yeah, maybe not. You never know. Sometimes they send, you'd be surprised what they send through on the weekends on these tracks. You'd be very surprised.
Deborah.
You're welcome.
Stuart, what did you want to say?
No, it's a great observation, and it may be something that Henry wants to track, because it's an eventual recommendation, but there could be variation. So, for example, on the Brighton line, just a few stops up at Sheepshead Bay, the sign is directly outside the elevator, and it's positioned so that when you're entering the system, you see exactly which train is coming. So maybe it's something based on what we see, that there would be some uniformity, to provide guidance for people who have challenges.
I'm sure the elevators are installed in places and stations where it makes logical sense for them to install it, and where they have the electronics and the space to do it. If that happens to be near a countdown clock, that's wonderful.
So, and it should be constrained by the confines of the station here in Sheepshead Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right outside the fare control area.
Karen.
And I would say, in the same vein with the electronic signage, if it could also say if there's delays on like a connecting train or something like that, instead of you getting all the way there and then finding out where you could have, you know, taken a different course of action.
Yeah, I've seen on some countdown class, I've seen delayed on some.
It's
I
on
have
the bright
seen
line.
that.
It's on the bright line, because,
Hopefully that's updated.
But I mean, like, take for instance, I'm just gonna use Grand Central,
It
for
does actually
example,
on
if you're
the phone.
coming out,
I tested it.
instead of getting all the way to the 4, 5 to find the 6 to find out, then you could have taken the shuttle and
Exactly.
then gone that way.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Andrew,
Yes.
since Stuart mentioned Sheepshead Bay and you have that picture, and for Benjamin, I did speak to Q. We are working on some updated new features of signages at that station. Henry, I'm sorry. Coffee's not working right now. It's been a very tough week.
I did it, but I corrected it.
Thank you, Ted. At least someone agreed with me on that. But what I was saying I did mention to Q, at least the boarding sign you can see, but when you get off the elevator, I did ask him, can we have a sign directing where the middle of the platform is? Because people, as I mentioned, not everyone can bring their neck up. And as Debbie mentioned, short-staffed person cannot sometimes see. And we do have a lot of seniors who cannot see. But on a good note is if the R211 comes in, same time you get off the elevator, you're lucky because that's an even platform train. And just letting you know.
Yep.
But we are working on that, and I have to say, thank God the elevators work there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How visible is it? I don't know how to put it. Someone's visually impaired, not blind, but visually impaired.
Right.
How well can they find it? Does it work? The colors, is it large enough? I'm just curious.
There's such variation
It depends.
in what they can and can't see, because I have a lot of that.
The ones that hang down from the ceiling on a platform are a different size than the ones that are freestanding on a platform. Those are usually a little larger, so they're easier to read.
Is there a question about color blindness?
No, visual impairment.
Oh, got it.
So I just want to make sure that people can see it. Is it large enough? Is it in the right position? Like, when you just talking about different heights and things like that, so I'm just.
Because me and Kalia were working on that on 34th Street, Herald Square, 2 years ago before she came on. And Michael's aware of it because we mentioned this at the last signage committee a year ago, that not all the signages up there are very small, but we try to tell them that we got to make it a little bigger so a person can see in a vision. But at the same time, on the 6th line, you do have the Neverlands program that does help them out too. I know that MTA Accessibility, as well as Michael will vouch, chair, we want to increase it more than Neverlands to go to other areas because it's working.
We do have another option, that even if the one that's hung from the ceiling or from the canopy is hard to read or there's glare, you do have the board sign. Term would be
The electronic ones?
the electronic ones that are giving you a series of trains.
That's the ones I was referring to that are on the platform.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if.
They're from out front, yeah.
Right, because at our station in Truett Avenue, electronic sign illegible, it doesn't, not that it's out of service, it's just that whatever the LED lights are not working. You have to.
Has it been reported?
I haven't reported.
Which side of Neptune is it?
The center platform.
Center platform, so, is it facing one way or the other way?
The one, meaning, it's the one facing southbound, meaning towards Coney Island.
Yep, okay.
Towards Avenue Line. So, yeah, so you rely on the platform.
Absolutely, they're great.
So for someone who doesn't want to crick their neck, you can see right at eye level, and it's very sharp.
And they're very accurate.
But
Yes.
the question is, should they be parallel to the tracks or perpendicular?
This is parallel. Parallel.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just a comment, is that as a senior and has been riding this system since the 80s, all of this stuff is such luxury compared to what we had.
Absolutely.
It's just such a luxury.
It's gotten
And,
lots
and
better,
it
and
has a
so is
lot
the
of
service.
flaws, but the difference is just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, but it really has. Let's move to old business. Does anyone have any old business items they would like to bring up?
Do I?
Oh, do you?
I'll make it as brief as possible. So, I know this is something that's come up over time when we're doing the bus redesigns and the bus stops, and I'm hearing from more and more people, especially if people age or they have like, mobility issues, the distance between stops, it just becomes more difficult, and then they start questioning who is the system really designed for. And then I'm still looking at connections, like if you get off at 34th Street and I'm gonna say, on that, Fifth Avenue, how far back do you have to walk to get a connecting? So some of those things, I think they need to be adjusted because, we have an aging, ridership as well, and those things,
I think,
quality of life.
on the issue of those kinds of connections, and I raised this when they were changing, on the M86. Ideally, the stop should be where on the same corner as the connecting bus will be, ideally. But on some, DOT has said they cannot do that because it's unsafe to put it in a certain place or it'll extremely tie up traffic, and so they do it on the far corner.
Or they have express bus stops there.
Yes, yes, that's true.
That's one. Two, as we look at a potentially looming railroad strike, I want to know what we're doing in terms of talking about how both the local and express, and in some cases, NYCTRC, I know that's nice outside of MTA, but how they can kind of help commuters, because it's going to be a major strain on the subway as well as local roads, in addition to the highway. And so, express buses, especially I'll use an example where I live. I think there's like 3 in the morning and 3 in the evening. Are they going to have more frequent? How are they just going to deal with all these people?
Hopefully I will hear a lot more about this and I hate to say this, as we get closer to a possible strike, but it's May when I believe everybody is predicting if there is going to be one, that's when it would be. So, I am sure.
That would be kind of like too late, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I am sure that I will hear in April, at various, board events, what the preparations are gonna be, what progress is being made in the negotiations, what New York City Transit will do to make up the slack, which is vitally important. Can you imagine how busy everybody will drive to 179th Street and Hillside Avenue area to get on an empty F train? I can just see. Residential parking permits, anybody? That's the place for them.
Just to jump in, this has come up at LIRCC numerous times, as you might expect.
Yeah.
Especially because we felt like the mitigation strategy was really woefully inadequate.
Yes.
I will say, I don't think there's a world in which you can make up the loss of train capacity via bus, and it's just, you're never going to be able to move that many people on the roads. It's just impossible. So it's going to be painful if it ends up happening. Hopefully we avoid it. But the proposed response the last time was really not where it needed to be. So we are asking for as much as possible for the people that really need to be in person for work or whatever else they have going on in their lives.
When was the last one, Ryan? Do you remember?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God, I can't.
A long time. Yeah, I can Google it. Yeah.
Last comment, about the free trip on the railroad and Metro North and the time situation of that. So becoming more of an issue because people think they have this free trip and then they're like, if the time in which the purchase has expired. And
2 weeks, it has to be within 2 weeks that you take.
Right. And
that you would get the free 11th
And with a
trip.
10-trip ticket, that was never the issue.
6-month period.
So, yeah.
Yep.
That really,
Yeah, we raised that a lot in the fair hearings. You know, especially, it really amounted to about an 18% fare increase for riders who went less frequently. We pushed on that as much as we could. Obviously, they didn't take that recommendation to go back to something that would be more flexible for riders. And we'll continue to look at other options on that one. We hear you loud and clear. We hear from a lot of railroad riders on that particular piece and some of the other ones.
Andrew, I have old business.
You do?
Yes, because unfortunately she's not here today. She did want me to ask also. Can we, in the next month, or I should say month, get Rachel to come?
We tried.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up, Chris.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask before we close the meeting.
Yeah.
You know, we've been asked to just compile a list of all the potential speakers we may want to have. They did not want Rachel to come this month because of ongoing budget negotiations with the city over Accessoride. So that's why they didn't feel like that made sense for now. The list that I have so far, that, you know, this is kind of off the top of my head, is Rachel, either Kevin Call or some other person to talk about the updated MTA app and what's coming, and after you guys have had a little bit of time to use it, if you have any recommendations you want to make. Obviously, Demetrius would be great to have. He has not come to, he's, you know, been in for over a year and hasn't come to TRC yet. Frank Farrell is also is even newer to this job, but there's a lot of bus stuff going on.
A lot of bus issues, so we want Frank.
We definitely, there was a good Fairgate presentation yesterday. I think that would be a great topic while the pilot's still going on. Is there anything else that's top of mind for you, that would be a presentation that you would like to see in the not too distant future?
Yeah, I think I mentioned, it would be good to have, Jamie or somebody from, Capital C&D, because there's so many improvements going on.
I think we're gonna target June PCAC for that, since it would
That would be
probably
great.
be a broader conversation.
Yep.
And didn't we talk about security and having chief come?
We could ask Chief Kemper to come back, absolutely.
Discuss that 3 meetings.
Yeah.
Can we have them combine with NYPD and MTA police? Because I'm seeing they're doing some new technique procedures that I'm seeing, and I think,
yeah, other people have mentioned that too.
yeah. And just to finish, I was saying earlier with Brian before, I just want to be clear. On the Accessoride, the reason we're asking, because I have seen a new presentation sheet brought up, and I think this would be an opportunity to see what the Accessoride new stuff they're coming up.
Cool.
So I just want to be very clear. I'm not here to hear about that issue. And I'm just saying, this is me saying this. I'm sorry, but that's just my voice is going somewhere. And also making sure they hear me in the world. The main focus is she has some new things coming in, and I just think we should have a fair chance to hear what her new ideas are.
We all agree it would be a great idea, Chris.
I'm just making sure it's shared on the record.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
Another possible idea for speakers, would be the various borough presidents, so we could hear their issues on transit in their boroughs and what they would like to
Yes, it
see.
was great to have Antonio last year.
Yes, it was.
Can we get more? Did we want to have someone to talk to us about updates with?
We can have somebody do that, if we have, somebody from C&D or Demetrius's team, that they could easily do that.
might that be a good field trip? Signal system?
I was thinking for our field trip, the new rail facility in Sunset Park is pretty amazing. And they had that's where the announcement of the new rolling stock purchase was announced, and I couldn't go because there was a board briefing that day, but I'm hearing that it's a very exciting place to see and possibly visit for August.
And good place to eat
Are
over there, too.
there any more, like, I know that wasn't our group, but are there any kind of like TOD type or any developments associated with like a train station or something that would be, I know we've been to a few stations, train places, like, we could see something more development-y.
Yeah, there's some in Brooklyn that are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my district.
Yeah, you know.
Like, I've been to a
And-
few train yards, I think I'm train yarded out.
Well, remember, 39th is not just the
And
north, that's where the old
that's
computer
Main Street.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you can go see the empty lot
Yeah.
on the waterfront.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts that pop into your head on your way home? Just, shoot me an email.
Or just tell the person you're sitting next to.
Pop.
Yeah.
Not
Okay,
likely to
any other old business before we move to new business? Okay, we're moving to new business. Anyone have any new items?
Technically, no.
Hearing none. Thank you all for attending today, and we will keep you posted. Sharon, I will get you that list of where the new fair gates are.
Motion to adjourn.
We don't have a quorum, but thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.